Environment Secretary Ed Miliband speaking to me a little bit earlier. I'm going to take you back now to Joe Lynam, who has come leaping up the stairs with quite an interesting figure that I'm trying to get my head around. Joe, tell me what it's about.
$1.1 trillion. That's how I'm hearing from the German delegation, in fact, in terms of the total amount of money that's going to be pledged by the G20 to multilateral institutions. That's the IMF, of course, and the World Bank. Now, this is not necessarily cold, hard cash. It'll be made up of trade finance, of course, so that the less developed countries will be able to trade successfully with Western economies, safe in the knowledge that their money will be guaranteed, that they'll be paid for their goods at the other end. There's, of course, the special drawing rights that we spoke about, whereby they increase the size of the cake, and then the cake is kind of passed from the wealthy countries to the less well-off countries. And then there's, of course, the cold hard cash of extra money going into the IMF so they can put out fires around the world. We've already seen so many European countries, including Ukraine, Hungary, recently Romania, Iceland. They've all got money from the IMF, but they need more and more money because more and more economies are getting into deep trouble and they simply run out of money. So the figure that I'm learning is over $1 trillion is going to be announced in the communique in the next hour or so.
Now, in the last few days, when we talked about the struggles that these countries had to get through, the member countries had to agree on, people said any reform of the IMF would be the easiest thing to secure. Is this what we're talking about today, or is it bigger than that?
There'll definitely be reform, but it'll be quid pro quo. For example, China will put in some more money into the IMF, which is desperately needed, but they want bigger voting rights. China, at the moment, has the same voting rights or quota as Switzerland. Switzerland's a tiny economy compared to the size of one of the largest exporters in the world, so that will have to change. India, too, the largest democracy in the world, has a minor representation because it's all based on the post-Bretton Woods agreements at the end of the Second World War. So definitely reform, but it'll be quid pro quo. We'll give you some money, but you give us more control.
OK, and we'll hear the details of that in the press briefing a little bit later. That's Joe Lynam. Right now, we'll take you outside to Ben Brown, who's